In this session, we're going to look at the main differences between Agile and Waterfall. The Agile approach being the iterative incremental approach, and Waterfall being the plan-driven approach. With Waterfall, what tends to happen is we look at the entire project in one go, we plan it out from the beginning to the end, and then we do everything in a specific and strict sequence. And what we tend to do is make sure that we have finished a phase before we move on to the next phase. For example, we finish everything to do with the build phase before we go into the test phase. The challenge with this is that it introduces quite a lot of risk, because what happens is that we are unable to really predict the future. So our plan is nothing more than a bit of a guess at where we're going to end up. Yes, we have the overall outcome, but how we get there, it can sometimes be uncertain, and we need the flexibility to be able to adapt to any changes that happen along the way. We don't want a big surprise at the end of a 6-month or 2-year period to find that actually we don't have exactly what we want. With the Agile approach then, what we do is we break that entire project down into smaller chunks. We still go through all of those phases, but we do that in a concentrated way, and we tend to try and overlap those phases so that, for example, the test and the build are working together throughout the 2-week period, if our sprints are 2 weeks long, rather than finish the build, hand it over to test, and let them get on with it. So what we're doing is we're delivering value then earlier and more often, but we're delivering small chunks at a time. What we then do is we continue to go through those cycles, through those iterations, until we get to the place where we have delivered all the value we want to, or the value we can. What we're focusing on is making sure that we think big, we start small, and we act now. The idea is get started with delivering so that we can start to learn from the efforts that we're doing. We want to put something in front of the customer so that we can get feedback and make sure that we are on track. Realize value early. And of course, you will iterate often. The more often you iterate, the faster you're going to get feedback, and the faster we're going to get to wherever it is that we want to get to. One of the beauties of this, and we'll look at this on a future video, is that we can then release our budgets in increments rather than sign off the budget for the entire thing all in one go. So another way of looking at it is the way it was described in the new product development game, which was an article published in the Harvard Business Review way back in 1986. The two professors who published this report looked at how companies were dealing with the issue of delivering products, and mostly these were hardware products. What they noticed was that an inefficient way of doing things was what they refer to as the relay race approach, where the team would pass the product down the chain from team to team as they completed their particular phase. So the build team would pass to the test team and so forth. What they noticed and what they reported on was a number of companies, both in the US and in Japan, that were actually following a different approach. They realized that they needed speed and flexibility, and what they found was by having constant interaction, what they called the rugby approach allowed them to actually work from start to finish on the product together to get a better outcome. Quality was improved, and speed of delivery was also improved. And this is what they described it looked like. So the type C approach, the phases are overlapping. So you're not actually waiting for phase 1 to complete before you start phase 2 and so forth. This also means that the test team, for example, can be working on this product from the very beginning of the sprint, of the time frame in which we're doing some work. And they can actually inform the build team what they're going to be testing on or what they're looking to test based on what it is that they're trying to do. So you are actually able to work together, the build team work towards delivering something and creating something that they know how it's going to be tested, so that you have a better chance of those things passing through the tests and getting to the end faster. Much more efficient approach. We've put here a link to the article, the new product development game. Probably worth a read, certainly the first few pages of that, just to get a view and a flavor of this agile approach, which has been around for such a long time now. Anyway, briefly there then, a quick view at the differences, the main differences between Agile and Waterfall. There are many others, and we'll cover those in future videos.